Happy New Year, guys. It's finally here. We are in 2024, which means we can start to look forward to the new Formula One season, which starts in just over 60 days time or so in Bahrain on the 2nd of March. I'm sure, like me, you can't wait for the new Formula One season to arrive. It will be here sooner than you think. And I thought for my first video for the new year in 2024, I'd start to look forward or look ahead to the new Formula One season and sort of go through who I think are the particular drivers to watch out for this year, not just in Formula One, but also some of the drivers that are coming through the junior ranks. So here are the drivers that I think you should be looking out for as the ones to watch in 2024. Now, my first pick is probably going to be a bit of a surprise because it's probably somebody that you would think isn't really somebody that you need to watch out for this year in terms of they've already cemented their place as one of the best drivers in Formula One. They haven't really got anything to prove. But I've actually gone with Lando Norris because I think 2024 could well be a huge year for Lando because, of course, he's coming off the back of his best ever F1 season. He scored 7 podiums in 2023. McLaren obviously went through a huge turnaround in form mid-season, didn't they? When they went from back markers to then being regular podium contenders. And I think that if they can sort of continue that momentum that they ended 2023 with and carry that into 2024 and start the season as firm contenders for certainly podiums again, but maybe even race wins and maybe even title contenders, can they push Max Verstappen and Red Bull in 2024? That's obviously remains to be seen. It is worth noting that only Max Verstappen and Red Bull scored more points than Lando and McLaren during the final 14 races of the season when they brought that upgrade package to Austria, and it completely transformed their year. And we saw McLaren climb and climb up the standings. Challenging Red Bull for the championship in 2024 will be no easy feat for McLaren, but I think given how they performed in the second half of last year, I think there's a real chance that it could happen. I think we could see for the first time since 2012 McLaren have a car capable of challenging for the World Championship. And as for Lando, he has shown he is more than capable of being a driver who can be in contention for the driver's title. I think he has already proved himself, particularly during last year, but also in more uncompetitive McLarens that he's driven during his career, that he is more than ready to be in a car that can challenge for the World Championship. Nevertheless, I do think it is going to be too much of a steep climb for both Lando and McLaren to be challenging Red Bull and Verstappen for both championships in 2024. I still think Red Bull and Verstappen will be too strong for the opposition. I think they will, even though I expect the other teams to bridge that gap and get a little bit closer. I still think that Red Bull will still have enough of an advantage over the other teams to quite comfortably defend both championships. But one thing's for certain, I think that we will see Lando Norris win a race in 2024. Moving on to my next pick, and I've gone with Alex Albon, who for me was one of the standout performers in 2023. He was pretty much single-handedly responsible for helping Williams finish 7th in the Constructors' Championship last year. And that was Williams' best finish in the championship for 6 years, so it shows just how much they've been through a difficult patch in recent times. And now they're really starting to look like they're moving forward and starting to make progress. I mean, Alex looks a completely different driver from the driver that got sacked by Red Bull a couple of years ago. Since he's been at Williams, he looks completely re-energised. He looks a completely different animal. He really has delivered the goods since he's joined Williams at the start of 2022. And right now, you have to say that he only looks like he could get stronger and develop into an even more rounded racing driver. And with Williams obviously making progress on track, that can only mean good for the two of them as a partnership. They just seem to bounce off one another. Everything about the Albon-Williams partnership is positive, and I think right now it is the perfect place for him to be. And with the progress that Williams made on track last year in their first year under new team principal James Vowles, I think that it all bodes well that Williams will continue to make gains in 2024 and continue to climb up the grid and firmly establish itself as a midfield team, and maybe even every now and again try and find themselves contending and competing against the front-running teams. But as for Alex, it is a big year because he is out of contract at the end of 2024. So if he can try and turn in some of the performances that he put in 2023, he could find himself firmly in the shop window for a move to a bigger team for 2025. We know that there could be potentially some vacancies at some of the top teams. We could see a seat open at Aston Martin and maybe even Ferrari. So I think some of the top teams definitely have their eye on Alex, and for good reason. So this year will definitely be a huge year in the career of Alex Albon. For my next pick, I'm going to go with Daniel Ricciardo, and for one very good reason, and that is that I think that 2024 is going to be, without a doubt, the biggest year of Daniel's Formula One career so far. because he is going into the season with a clear vision, a clear goal to try and show Red Bull that he is the driver that they should pick to partner Max Verstappen in 2025. That will ultimately be his main aim for this year. But it is going to be far from easy because, of course, he only raced 7 times last year, although he wasn't expecting to race at all because he was expected to complete the year as the reserve driver for Red Bull. But then, of course, he got drafted in by AlphaTauri to replace Nick de Vries during the middle of the season. But, of course, it didn't go as smoothly as he would have liked because, of course, he missed about 4 races due to sustaining a hand injury at the Dutch Grand Prix during a crash in practice. So those races that he missed while he was recovering from his injury really were a missed opportunity for Ricciardo to show Red Bull just what he is capable of, and that those 2 years where he struggled at McLaren are now a thing of the past, and now he is getting back to his old self. I think there was enough of a glimpse during Ricciardo's comeback that he was getting back to the old Ricciardo that we saw particularly during his Red Bull days. I mean, particularly Mexico, where he finished in the points and he qualified on the second row, out qualifying Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. I think that performance alone showed that he is now in the mindset of putting to bed his McLaren struggles and how he wants to show that he still has something to offer in Formula 1 and that he can find a route back to a race-winning car. But there's going to be a lot of pressure on Ricciardo's shoulders if he is to earn a move back to Red Bull for 2025 because, of course, he's going to have to beat his teammate, who, of course, is Yuki Tsunoda, who during the 7 races that both Ricciardo and Tsunoda were racing alongside each other at AlphaTauri, Tsunoda managed to outrace Ricciardo 4-3 in the head-to-head duel. So it is not a given Ricciardo is going to be chosen by Red Bull to be Max Verstappen's teammate in 2025. Yuki could find himself firmly in contention if he is able to carry on the form that he showed, particularly at the end of last year when he was scoring regular points in the much improved AlphaTauri car. So that's really the main reason why 2024 is going to be such a big year for Ricciardo, and he's going to be one to watch because there is going to be so much pressure on him to deliver. If he cannot outperform Tsunoda, which is obviously going to have to be his main target, then he's not going to be able to earn that Red Bull seat. We're now going to move away from Formula 1 and move down a level to Formula 2, where my next pick is going to be Oliver Bearman, who without a doubt is one of the most exciting drivers currently racing in the junior categories and is firmly somebody that we should be keeping an eye on for the future. He is such an exciting prospect. His rookie season for Prema in F2 last year was fantastic. He finished 6th in the standings and he scored 4 victories across the season. There was already a lot of talk around Bearman being a Formula 1 driver in the near future. He is of course part of the Ferrari Driver Academy and they rate him extremely highly. They of course will be no doubt putting pressure on him to be a title contender in Formula 2 this year. That will surely be Bearman's main target. If he can secure that F2 title, then surely a pathway to Formula 1 will not be too far away. But winning the F2 Championship is not going to be a given for Bearman. We know just how extremely competitive a series it is. Just look at Théo Pourchaire, last year's champion. He had to wait until his 3rd season in the championship to finally secure that title. But even so, he is now having to spend a year on the sidelines racing in Japan in Super Formula because he has not been able to find a Formula 1 seat. So that will be a challenge in itself for Bearman, even if he does manage to wrap up the F2 title, is trying to find a seat on the grid in Formula 1 in 2025. But one advantage he does have is he does obviously have Formula 1 connections. Of course, as I mentioned, he's part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, and that led to him being offered the chance to drive for Haas in a couple of FP1 sessions at the end of last year in both Mexico and Abu Dhabi. And Haas made it pretty clear just how impressed they were with his performances during those practice runs, and even Gunter Steiner, the Haas team principal, has hinted that they may even give Bearman a chance of a Formula 1 seat in 2025 if he continues to perform the way that he has been performing in Formula 2 and given how he impressed them during those FP1 outings. So I think given how his rookie season went in Formula 2 and now that he is tipped to be a title contender this year, Ollie Bearman is definitely somebody that we should be keeping an eye on in 2024 because we could be seeing him in Formula 1 very soon. My final pick is going to be another Formula 2 driver and somebody that Ollie Bearman could well find himself fighting for the F2 title this year, and that is Andrea Kimi Antonelli, better known as just Kimi Antonelli, who has already been compared to the likes of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton and is already tipped for greatness given just how amazing his running success has been during his junior career. Now, I've already spoken about just how exciting a prospect Bearman is for the future, but I think Kimi is arguably even more exciting a prospect because his junior career has been stellar. He has already won the Formula 4 Championship, ADAC Formula 4 Championship to be exact. He also won Italian F4 during the same year in 2022, and last year in 2023 he won the Formula Regional Championship by Alpine, better known as Freca. And Kimi had a pretty dominant run to that championship, but the reason that we're all so excited to talk about him for 2024 is the fact that that championship win has seen him skip Formula 3 entirely and go straight into F2, which of course is a massive leap to skip an entire section of the racing ladder. But I think that just demonstrates why Kimi is so highly rated by many in the motorsport world and why many are backing him to have a successful racing career. He is already part of the Mercedes Junior program, and Mercedes are hugely excited about potentially what lies ahead for Kimi in his racing career. And I think that they believe they have found a gem, that they have got someone who without a doubt is going to be a Formula 1 champion in the near future. But of course all of this talk is going to bring a lot of expectation for Kimi to prove that he is, one, a talent for the future, but also that he can handle the pressure of skipping a series and going straight from Freca to Formula 2. He'll be racing alongside Bearman in the Prema team, and that rivalry, that teammate battle, is going to be so exciting to watch because both of them are going to be gunning for that championship and gunning to show that they deserve a chance to make that leap into Formula 1. And of course F2 races on the same weekend as F1 because of course it's part of the support series, so all of the motorsport's eyes, all of Formula 1's eyes are going to be fixed on Kimi to see how he gets on and if he can handle the pressure and deliver on track. So there you go, we are off and running for 2024. Those are just some of the drivers that I think you should be keeping an eye on this year. But are there any drivers that I should have included on my list that I haven't done? Be sure to let me know in the comments section. And if you're new around here, don't forget to like the video and to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great start to the new year, and goodbye.